Let's talk about Sunday Night Football. We've been all over the place early, but it's just that kind of day. There's a poll. That's what they call them in the chat. In the, what?
Easy.
Easy.
Easy, Jerry Jones.
No Diddy.
Talking about polls early.
Easy, Jerry Jones.
Save it. Save it. So, anyways, there's a poll in the chat that I don't want to bring up what I brought up yesterday, but it's just too damn funny. I have a funny thing I'll say in a podcast later this week, but I'm not going to say it now. There's a poll that's like, hey, pass interference, was it or was it not on Kyle Pitts? It was pass interference. Now, they got down there at the end of the game and had a chance to win that thing. And I just want to give big credit to that Kansas City front. The thing I said this week was I thought they would be able to build a flat wall. They gave up some leakage in the run game. I mean, Atlanta's got a good run game. They're 2 backs deep. Yeah, I did it to my birds. They stretched the front, and then they hit it downhill. And the whole thing, early on, Drake London's having his way with McDuffie. McDuffie's having a rough day, and you're saying, here we go all over again. And then late in the game when they get the ball, I'm like, twice in a row, these teams let the Falcons hang around. They must be a lot of fun at parties because the Falcons, they let them hang around. And it got to the point where it comes down to a couple plays, and I'm starting to say, like, we're taking timeouts. If I'm Kansas City, I'm taking timeouts because I feel like they're going to score. And they did take a timeout, and they forced a 3rd and 1. And on that 3rd and 1, I think it was Tranquil bench pressing a center or a guard, just a stud. The linebackers that Spags gets to play this way. I mean, last year, Tranquil was a guy that stepped in.
Yep.
And this year, he's a guy you're glad he's on your team. And Chenal is a guy who's really come along.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention, I wish we could put this up here. There's a picture of Tranquil.
Just a powerhouse stance.
Bro, he got in there in that they put him in at fullback at one point on the goal line. And it was like he was 600 pounds. His stance, he's convinced he's 600 pounds. He's in a 4-point stance. He's 6 inches off the ground.
Yep.
And this guy's big. Like the way Spags described this guy to me was strong as an ox.
Yep.
And you can see it on that 4th down play where Nick Bolton gets a lot of the credit, and he's a total stud. And he made some big plays in this game. By the way, Bijan Robinson impressed me picking him up in the hole a couple times on 3rd down. But the play call from Robinson, not a great one in my opinion. We were sitting here on the couch, and what did I turn to you and say? On the edge. They're going. It's going to be on the edge.
Yep.
And they went on the edge, and those guys reset the front, and Bolton comes through clean, makes the play, ball game. What made this a game was early on, Mahomes looked a little off.
Mm-hmm.
Like so much so that on one of the plays, Rasheed gave him palms up, which like you give the GOAT palms up. Like he's obviously a little bit off. And it was one of those situations early where we were like, did he get dinged or something? But he settled in as the game went on. A positive for Kansas City is Wanye Morris played well. He did. All Bill wanted to talk about at Inside the NFL this week was the tackle situation. And I'm like, man, is it like a burning building? Like last year it was bad and it wasn't great. But Wanye Morris stepped in, did a nice job in the run game, and did a nice job in the pass game as well. So just all over the place. I thought a lot of the unsung heroes for the Kansas City defense stepped up.
Yeah.
And, that's what you got when you got a really well-coached group.
And they also showed they can move the ball efficiently without Pacheco in the lineup.
That's the whole key. We said this coming in the game. Their run game is going to be getting the ball to Worthy on the perimeter. It's going to be getting the ball to Rice on the perimeter, who's built like a running back. He runs like a running back. And Crocky J was poor Crocodile. Crocky J's watching the game. He wants to cheer. His mouth's fucking taped shut. This kid in P. Ryan can get it done inside.
Yep.
So I don't worry about these guys. I think they'll be fine.
I was surprised to see no wedding invite for Crocky J. Carson Steele's sister got married yesterday. It didn't look like Crocky J.
No Gator?
I don't think so.
Where'd she get married?
I don't know. They were showing clips online of everybody at the wedding watching the game. They had it on a big screen there. But
does she hate football?
Apparently. Must
like
be.
unbelievable.
Yeah. She definitely didn't think her brother was making the team.
I think
that's the truth.
Talk about it, be your own, man.
About it.
Yeah, right. That's the truth.
Like worst best case scenario was doing exactly what they did.
Right.
Talking about it, just being like, I don't know if I'll make a team, but if I do, you guys will be able to watch me.
And another thing is in that 4th and short, I just want to say this, like, not for nothing, Kirk's not going to, become a 4.8 guy overnight. And, like he's had his issues with his Achilles and the mobility. But having a guy like Mahomes on 4th and short, and by the way, they took the ball out of his hands inexplicably earlier in the game on a 4th and short. In a game situation where it's 4th and short and you got to have it, like having a quarterback that can get out on the edge, a run pass option, something where, Mahomes rolling right, hitting Rice at the sticks. Like they've lived off that stuff for years. Atlanta didn't have that because they don't have the mobility with Kirk.
Right.
But I think part of the issue is, like, I saw some people in chat wondering why you wouldn't sneak it. Obviously, you've paid Kirk $1 billion and he's coming off an injury, so that's one thing. But let's not forget, like, the interior of the Falcons offensive line last night was a little banged up. Like, they had 2 O-line injuries, I think. They had 2 guys go out, and that, I think, affected their run game a lot. Probably the decision making in the fourth quarter, with those 4th downs.
No question. Too. No question. That's a great point. Once they lost those guys, it felt like Kansas City was going to find a way to win this game, because if Atlanta can't run the ball, when they got to 3rd down, and they barely got to 3rd down in the first quarter, they were doing a pretty good job on early downs. When Kansas City got 3rd down on these guys, I think Atlanta was 2 for 9.
Yep.
And, if it's not a bust in the red zone on 3rd down and it's not a roughing the passer or whatever it was, for the most part, they got off the field. And, with the game on the line on 4th and 5 after that PI, they bring Connor again. Same spot as last week. Last week he's coming off the double team of Chase. So all game long you're thinking he's doubling. They're bracketing, Chase. And he comes off that and makes the play. And, again, pressuring in the right situation. It's just Spags with that soft touch.
So do you think the way the run game went for Atlanta and Bijan, 16 carries, 31 yards, you think that's indicative to Spags in that front, or do they have a problem in Atlanta they have to figure out?
No, I think if everybody's healthy on this front, they can make a lot of people look like the Eagles looked. I'm still not getting out over my skis with this team. Like, they got some things to prove, but this defense through a couple weeks has had more good moments than bad. I think that's a solid, because a month before the season started, you didn't know where you're going to get your pass rush.
Yep.
They had missed opportunities to get Sweat last year. They had drafted a rookie, Trice, I think, from Washington.
Yep.
He got hurt. Then they go out and get Judon. And, before they got Simmons and Judon, they were worried about this defense. Mm-hmm. But now with Jesse Bates in the middle, who, by the way, Mahomes has always had trouble with these guys in the middle. And early in the game, that trend continued. The ball he threw that was almost picked off in the end zone on maybe the first drive, like, he's supposed to throw that to the F in Falcons on the right side of the end zone. It just not very un-Mahomes-like. And another, pick he threw, throwing the ball to Blake Bell. I mean, he just didn't look right early. And Kansas City's that good. You go on the road to play Atlanta in a hostile environment, down your starting running back, and your quarterback doesn't have his best half, and you're still like, oh, we're fine. They're going to be fine.